back to another Britgrid Intermediate Blender class. Today we're going to be carrying on making our modular building, and I'm just going to show you how I've got that set up as far as Blender goes. So if I go into my preferences and I show you what I've got enabled, most of these are standard. You should see that I've got, okay, well it's not actually there. Oh yeah, there it is. Node Wrangler. So I've got Node Wrangler enabled. And if you want to go into your preferences, you can just type in search for Node Wrangler, put a tick in the box, and then click on your the little hamburger save preferences down the bottom. Going over to the up here in the rendering options, viewport shading, I've also enabled cavity, which just makes the display look a little bit nicer. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's see what we need to do to carry on with our window. This is currently what mine looks like, and if I go into face orientation, click on that in overlays, so go up to overlays, face orientation, you can see that my mesh kind of looks alright, but my two windows are facing in the wrong direction. So in order to correct that, I can go to edit mode, I can go to face select, I can select those two faces, shift and click on the second one, I can go to mesh, and then down to normals and flip. And that's what you should be looking for. You should be looking for everything being blue facing you. And if you look at the back, ignoring this little bit here, because that's that is, if I just show you, I'm just gonna bear with me. I'm just gonna pull that away from the mesh, so you can see the back side is all red. And I'm just going to turn my snap property on. And I'm just going to snap that back to the main kind of window. Okay, so I've fixed that problem. I'm going to save that now. So don't forget to save, because well, my copy of Blender seems to be crashing quite a lot. I'm just gonna sorry, I'm messing about here. I'm just gonna turn off face orientation. Right. So, all good. Now, what I'm going to do today, or what I'm going to show you how to do today, is to create a window blind to put behind our windows. And to do that, we're going to use the scene option up at the top right. We're going to create a new scene, and that's a good way to work, to have multiple scenes. It's a bit like collections, but a scene also allows you to have different objects in different scenes with a different window layout. So it's an interesting way of working, and it's an option that you need to be aware of. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this window. So I'm going to press A to select it all, and then, or better still, I can do it in object mode. Let me go to object mode. So I've just selected this object. I'm going to go up to the object menu, copy the object, go up to the scene, click on the little pages to create a new scene, say new, and then I'm going to go up to object again. I'm just going to paste those objects in. So essentially we've got two scenes, and you can click on the scene button here and it will show you you've got scene and scene 1. So all good so far. Now, to create this window blind, I don't need to see all this geometry. In fact, we don't need it. We only need, we don't need the window frames, we don't need the glass, we don't need this lintel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into edit mode once I've selected the object. So I'm going to select that bit with L. Then I'm going to select the window frame here and this one here. I'm just going to go into wireframe mode just to make sure that I've only got those things I need to select. So I'm going to delete those by pressing the delete key and choosing vertices. And now what I'm left with is just that bit, just the kind of wall and the inner frame. So I'm now what we're going to do now is make the window blinds. So I'm pressing my numeric keypad so I can get to the side view. And I'm going to go into the wireframe like that. Then I'm going to go back to object mode, make sure I've got nothing selected by clicking. And then I'm going to add in a mesh cube. And as you can see, that's quite a big mesh cube. So we need to scale that down by loads. So I'm just going to scale it right down. And I'm going to move it up a little bit. Just pressing G there and moving that mesh cube. That's still a little bit big, so I can still scale that down. Probably just something like that. Just gonna see if I can change that so that you can see what I'm doing. So your cube needs to be kind of that big. It's basically the width of one of the slats of the window blind. So I'm going to scale it on the Z direction by pressing S and then Z, just shrinking it down so we can zoom into that a little bit. Maybe even scale it down a little bit more on the Z, S and Z. Scale it down a bit more, something like that. Then we're going to go into edit mode. And I'm going to go to edge select. Click on one of the edges. Like that. And press Ctrl R. Hover over the edge. Left click. Then hit enter. So that's just made an edge loop. You can just see it there. So let's go back to, whoops. Let's go back to my side view, like that. I'm just going to press the L key to select all the vertices. I'm just going to press G and then move that down. We need to move it down to quite close to the edge of the edge in the bottom of the window, the inner part of the window. I'm now going to press Shift and Alt and click on that edge loop, and hopefully that will have selected it all the way around that mesh cube, which it has. Oops. If I get back to the right view, there we go. Now what I want to do is I want to move that up a bit, like that. Then I'm going to press Ctrl and B on the keypad. And just... okay, that didn't work. Okay, I need to... I'm going to go to object mode and select object. Say apply all transformations. I'm going to go back into edit mode. Now I'm going to go Control and B for bevel, and you can see that I can kind of drag that out and use my mouse wheel just to put some more segments in there. So I'm basically just trying to make a curved surface like a window blind. So something like that would be fine. We can go into vertex mode by clicking on the vertex. Press A and then A again, just to deselect everything. Now I'm going to press the C key, letter C, for the circle select, and you can use your mouse wheel to size the selection area. I'm just going to grab all of the bottom verts, right click, and then move them up, like that. So it's a nice thin window blind. I can press L again, and then G to move it. I'm just going to move it down there like that. Maybe like that. And I'm going to go into object mode. I'm going to go object, apply all transforms. And I'm going to do object, set origin to geometry. You can see our little kind of center marker for the geometry has appeared there. I'm also going to take the opportunity to go down to in the object menu to shade smooth, so we can do that. Just going to zoom out a little bit. I'm just going to pull across my properties window here so you can see what I'm doing. Just going to click on the wrench tool here, click on add modifier, go to array, and you can see by our kind of 3D cursor here that we've got the blue Z axis up and down, and we've got the green Y axis going left to right. And at the moment, if we look in our array modifier, it's offering to replicate our mesh on the X direction. We don't want that. So I'm going to click in there and press 0. And I'm going to go to the Y axis option and just press 1.0. So we're going to be copying our mesh on the Y axis. We might need a few copies of this, so I'm just going to click or drag and replicate it. Now, window blinds are usually at a bit of an angle, so I'm going to go to edit mode and I'm going to rotate that slightly, kind of like that, and we can move it up. That's good. And to be honest, we can also scale it on the Y direction. So S to scale, Y for Y, and we can just kind of scale it down a little bit. Actually, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm actually just trying to scale it. I'm trying to scale it from this point so that the blinds overlap a little bit. So I'm going to go individual origins, probably. Let's try scale on Y. Yeah, that's scaling it all together. I didn't really want to do that. So maybe we'll go to object mode. We will go object, snap cursor to selection. Cursor to selected. There we go. And we can go up here to our pivot point, set it to the 3D cursor. So now let's try scaling it on the Y again. So scale, S for scale, Y. Okay, still not working. I think to change that I would probably need to change this distance here. At the moment we're set to 1. Maybe we could be set to 0.95. That's probably more what I'm looking for. But we need a few more instances. But we need this to be closer to the end of the window, so I'm going to go scale on Y. I'm going to hold down on Shift. I'm just going to drag it out a little bit so it's more like that. That's fine. Let's go to the top view. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale that in the X direction, so scale, S for scale, X for X. And we can just pull it out. It needs to be quite close to the edge, but not right against the edge, like that. And if we go into preview mode, yep, that's not looking too bad. We'll do shade smooth on that, and we'll go into the properties panel, click on the kind of object data, I think that is, object properties. Sorry, I'm wrong. We can go to this one, object data properties, that's the one, the little triangle. Go to normals, say auto smooth. We now want to add in some cylinders. So we can go add, mesh, cylinder, bit big, so we can scale that way down, like that. And even that's too big, so scale way down like that. Probably can't see that very well. Maybe if I go into wireframe you can see it a bit better. Into the side view. There we go. Now we need to rotate that 90 degrees. So I'm just going to press R and then type in 90 and then enter. That's still a little bit big, so we can scale it down. Scale. And I'm just going to move that up so it's quite close to our window blinds. So I'm just going to move it down like that. I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to select, I'm going to press B and box select that edge. Just drag that up to there, roughly about the same area where the edge of our blind is. I'm going to press A a couple of times to deselect it, and I'm going to box select with B the bottom area, and then we can just drag that down all the way. Let's change that to active element just so that we can see our widget all the way down here like that. I'm going to go to front view, and I'm going to press A and A and then hover my cursor over those vertices and press L so it's selected. Just going to move that across here using the grid lines as a guide and place it there. Then I'm going to press Shift and D to duplicate it and then move that across here. And then I'm going to go back to our kind of preview mode and see what that looks like. Doesn't look too bad. Now I need to give that a material, and I'm going to save that. I'm just going to file save. We actually need to add in a new material for it, and we'll delete these materials because they're not needed on this particular object for creating these textures. So we'll click on the plus to make a new material, click on new, and I'm going to call this Ambient underscore Occlusion, and then enter. And if I go back to edit mode, to wireframe, I can zoom in a little bit. If I go to object mode, I should be able to select that object. And that object, I'm going to join them all together. So I'm just going to say object join. I shouldn't have done that. Let's Control Z that. What I need to do is select the window blinds here. Go back to the modifier and say apply. Then we need to shift select everything and say object join. And hopefully that will give us the result that we want. So not looking too bad there. Although it does look as if we've got two different materials applied there. So let's go back to the material tab. Okay, that's interesting. We haven't actually got a material there. So what we can do is we can copy that material that we made earlier. I think we made it on the window itself rather than the blinds. Click on the blinds, click on there, and we can do paste material. And that didn't work, which is interesting. Let's try that again. Copy material, paste material. Nope, doesn't work. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, okay, didn't work. Doesn't matter. What we can do is we'll just make a new material. So we'll click on new material. It's fine. We'll just call it ambient. Now we've created a new material. Oh, actually we need to put some edge loops into our blind, which is a bit of a pain. So I don't know if we're going to do that. Just use auto smooth. I think that will achieve the same effect. Just gone into the data properties and clicked on auto smooth with that object selected. Cool. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to I'm just going to pull the window out a little bit here, because we're going to go to the, actually let's not bother, let's do it properly. Let's just go up to shading. So here we have our window. If I move that stuff up there, I'm just trying to get it so that you're able to see what I'm doing. You can see our blind there, and here's our diffuse texture that we made called Ambient. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a new material node, and what we want is, I'm just typing in AM for ambient. We just want ambient occlusion. And all we're going to do is plug in the colour to the emission. Let's do a quick render. So I'm going to change my viewport. Actually, to do this we do need a camera. So I'm going to go up to add mesh, not mesh, camera. And you can see that it's put it in a weird place. So I can pull out my sidebar here, and I can change the coordinates to 0, 0, 0, which puts it right in the middle. Rotation to 0, 0, 0. Oops, let's put in 0 there. And we can just bring that up. If I go back to, let's close that now. Just need to go, actually, let's reopen that. Nope, I lied. Let's close that. Let's go back to properties. We'll select our camera. It's currently on perspective. We need to make that orthographic, and we'll give it an orthographic scale of, let's say 1, for example. We can see that it's the wrong aspect, So we can open our little sidebar here, and we can rotate the camera on its z-axis. You want to rotate it 90 degrees, 90 D for degrees. So that should place it in the right aspect to take a picture of our blind. And we've got our texture here. Let's just do a quick render with that and see what that looks like. Okay, that doesn't look good. Probably because we've forgotten to do something. Let's add in another node. So we'll go to node. No, we won't. We'll go to add, search. We'll add in the color ramp. Stick that in here. And just bring the black value up here, like that. Let's try another render. Okay, that's still not great. Let's just double check how we're set. We're currently set for Eevee. Let's turn on Ambient Occlusion. That's a good thing to do. Try another render. Render image. That's better. Okay. I'm going to change this to the probably going to change this to the 3D view. And oops. If I move that out and zoom that in a bit, you can see that our camera is actually, that's not too bad a position. Should be roughly about right. Let's have a look. Let's render that image. Okay, so it's not getting all of the blind and the slats and stuff on it. So what we need to do is, let's try pressing 0. 0 on my number pad. So currently that's what we're imaging. So I actually need to change the settings on the camera so that we've got more of the blind in focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to probably this window here, and I'm going to change that to properties. I'm going to click on the camera option, and we can mess around with the orthographic scale, I believe. So what we're looking for is to get that fitted in, something like that. So I've just changed my orthographic scale down to 1.5. Now we can set it back to, I don't know, whatever it was, 3D viewport was it? So we can try a render on that. Render image. Yep. that's not that's not too bad. I don't like this colouring on the rest of the window. Ideally it needs to be kind of white colour, a bit like this. So what we can do is we can select our window, we can go to properties, go to the material settings, we can get rid of some of these settings, so I'm just going to delete them. So we've got our ambient occlusion texture there. which is different to our other ambient occlusion texture, because what we did is we went add, search, ambient occlusion, and we just threw that into the emission section. So that should give us the same materials on both things really. So what we can do is we can try another render. So render image. Yep, that's fine. So we can save that. So I'm going to go image, save as. I'm going to go to my textures folder, and I'm going to call that. I'm actually going to call it something different. I'm going to call it diffuse. Diffuse.png. And I'm going to make it RGB 16, no compression, and save it. For the next bit, we're going to change our rendering type. So I'm going to click on the little screeny thing up here, the rendering options. I'm going to change it to workbench, and then under the lighting section here, I'm going to choose matte cap. I'm going to click on the little circle, and I'm going to choose this normal map option. So I'm just going to click on that. And if I go to the viewport shading, it will show us what that looks like. But before I do anything else, I actually need to go down to the color management, and I need to set it to standard rather than filmic. So set that to standard, and we're going to do another render. So render image. Perfect. So I'm going to go image, save as, and I'm going to call this one normal.png. And likewise RGB 16, no compression, save. Oops. I hope I've saved that. Yeah, I think I have. So now you've saved those, I'm just going to save my file. We can go back to our modelling view. So up to the top window there, click on modelling. And if I go to object mode, we're currently in scene 01, so I want to change that back to our normal scene. So there you can see our window. And if I go into the rendered preview, that's currently what we're looking at. So something like that. In fact, I am going to go into, I'm going to turn off the scene lights and the scene world, as it gives me a slightly brighter look. What I want to do now is I want to apply those textures that we just created to the base of the window. So with the window selected, I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to select the back face of the window by going to face select. And let's just have a look at our material. So we've got a material called room here. So we're gonna edit that. Before I do that though, I'm just gonna go into the viewport, the top-down view, with the back of the window selected, and I'm gonna go into the UV editor. Actually, I'm not. I'm gonna go into the shader editor. So let's go to the shader editor. I'll pull that across there so you can see. Let's get rid of that bit. So there's our current shader for the room material. So we're just going to add, I'm going to go search, and I want an image texture. So I'm just going to pop that there. I'm going to go to open. I'm going to go into my textures. I'm going to look for the diffuse one, say open image. I'm just going to drag that straight into the color, into base color. Then I'm going to go to up to add. I'm going to search for another node. I'm going to look for normal map. And I'm just going to pop that down there. Then I'm going to select our diffuse one and go Shift D, Shift and the letter D, and duplicate it. Click on the cross, and I'm to take away that texture that we had in there. Say open. I'm going to go to my textures, and I'm going to choose the normal. Say open image. I'm going to say it's non-color. Plug it into color. Plug it into normal. And there we've got a kind of half decent window blind. if it's not quite dark enough or not quite contrasty enough, what we can do is go to add. We can go down to, well, go to search. Let's just put a color ramp in. So look for color ramp, type in COL, color ramp, drop it in here, and then we can darken it up just by moving the black value up a little bit, or the white value down a little bit. And you might want to play around with that just to get the kind of values that you want. You can also choose ease rather than linear. And you can even change the base color if you want to. You can click on the little color of the kind of pointer on the right hand side, and maybe choose something that's a bit more yellowy or orange. Maybe something like that. I don't think that's too bad. Anyway, so, and I'm just going to change that and go back to the UV window just to make sure that that's, yep, okay, so my UV happens to be sized correctly, so the blind fits in. Bearing in mind I've still got this back face selected, but if you want to scale that, if you want to check to make sure that that's correct, you can press A to make sure you've got that UV for the face selected, and you can scale it up or down as you see fit. And you can also move these individual points around if you want to, as long as you want vertex select. I won't do that because of course it's not, mine's kind of okay as it is. Anyway, so I'm going to save the file there because I think we've probably done enough for today. I might just go back to properties on our side window, and I think I might just go to scenes. I might go to scene 01. We don't really need this anymore. We've made our blinds. Last time I did this it crashed Blender, but you can get rid of that scene just by pressing the X. And now we're back to just having our single scene with our window blind. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching. It's always appreciated. Please give this video a like and subscribe. Don't forget to keep your eye on the Britgrid Intermediate Blender channel for news and updates. You take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.